Hey guys, I'm so excited to be back for another one, especially after the last one I did. If you haven't seen it, check it out. I actually don't know if I even have a name for it yet, but it's talking about um the social credit scores in the new Earth economy, and it's to answer an inquiry from someone about more details on the social credit score and how we can actually flip it and use it for the positive. So that was such an energetic, high vibing energy that I was in for that video. I was so excited about that. Back for another one. I took a day off from kind of social media in general. I had a lot of editing that I had to do because like some of my videos go so long they have to be broken up for TikTok, but then I try to reassemble them for YouTube because I originally started on YouTube, but I was getting no views on YouTube and my videos were just basically going there to die. So I'm getting a lot more traction from TikTok. The only thing is they got to be broken up. So then YouTube, if you want to see them, you get to see TikTok's sloppy seconds when they get all put back together. For all the attention I was getting over there, it's much more worth it for me to do TikToks. So kind of fell into my thing there. So that's what I was working on all day yesterday. I didn't respond to comments. I didn't respond to like messages. I feel bad, but I really had to get a lot of that stuff off my phone, make room for this stuff. So I'm back. We're talking about it again. Let's get back into it. I gotta make some coffee though, so I'm gonna try and do that again while I talk. But some of the things that we had talked about in the last video about the new Earth and the economy, how things are gonna go. Some of the things I thought about. I had a crazy awesome lucid dream last night, which I'm not sure if it inspired this or not, but one of my topics that I wrote down. Ooh, don't fall out. Okay, all right. And I hate this shirt. Like I like the quality of it. It's a good shirt, but it's just so big. Like I feel like a bum. Like I don't like sleeves. Like look at all the sleeve on this. It's like an extra, I think it's a 2X actually, it might be, but I don't know. I kind of want to change it. We'll see. Let's just make some coffee first. So, talking about the new Earth economy, I had this vision this morning about Olive Garden and families. Like, I'm not going to say the word that everyone wants me to say yet, because it's just not that. It's just plain and simple. I'm not going to say it because it's not that. And I know you know which word you want me to say, but it's not. But it got me thinking about how do we take care of each other in the new economy, in the new Earth? Like, how is that treating each other? Like, we talked about in some of the previous videos about taking responsibility for each other and not feeling that we have an inherent responsibility for each other, feeling like we are less than our idols and our people on the pedestals. We feel less, so we automatically look at others as less, maybe even less than us, so that we can feel better about our situation in the ever expanding hierarchy of human like potential and hierarchy of like the ladder of our achievement, right? Like our height, our ceiling, whatever that is. And so like we would attribute certain aspects of people that we see, we put them on pedestals, we put ourselves on pedestals. Sometimes we don't feel we're worthy of the pedestal. We're like we characterize and organize and put ourselves in little categories to become more manageable so we can figure out the hierarchy, because it's technical. But we have this inherent, like, right now we don't take responsibility for each other unless we're forced to, like through parenthood. And like if you got a really good friend that might ask you to help them move or whatever, you feel responsible for them, for that friend. But beyond like immediate family and like people that aren't annoying to you, you really don't feel any sort of responsibility unless there's something in it for you. That is the standard of how we interact with each other on this earth. But in new earth consciousness and awareness, we have an inherent acceptance and acknowledgement of sovereignty and feeling of unity, and we're compelled to be responsible for each other, to help each other out, to like give them that helping hand, because we know that it's going to be reciprocated. And in order for us to get to this point, we've reached for that hand, that helping hand already. So we understand what it's like to be the one reaching for, assistance. The people who would deny that to someone are the ones who would deny themselves assistance. So like they feel like they're not worthy of it, or that they don't have to ask for it. They feel like maybe they're in denial. They feel like there's nothing wrong with them, so they don't need to ask for assistance. But in that denial is their pain that they carry with them every day. So they're feeling the pain. So because they're hurting inside, they expect other people to hurt inside too, or that they want that. Like they don't want people that have a cushier life than they do on the outside, because they're hurting so much on the inside. So that's like the competition that we have with each other, with other humans in a nutshell, is we don't want to see other people doing good because we're not doing good ourselves. Like when you're at that low level consciousness state. But like in the new earth, we're going to have a higher level consciousness and be aware of each other and acknowledge each other's sovereignty, acknowledge each other's healing potential, and want that for each other. We want the best for everything, right? So that being said, I thought about like Olive Garden and how when you're here, your family, right? The OG Olive Garden family, OG family. And I thought about like carrying that through as a concept where we're treating each other, and we are expecting to be treated like a big family, even though we're not related by blood or anything else. But it'll be like that energetic exchange. Like when you come down, just picture it like a family of 8 in a house, breakfast in the morning. How does that go? Do you say, well, you did my laundry, so I'll cook you breakfast. You did my chores outside, you took the garbage out, so you can have this bacon, or I'm going to pour you orange juice because you did this for me. No, it's not like that. It's some families, it's everyone fend for themselves, but in other families, you help each other out. Pass the potatoes, pass the eggs, who cooked, it's everyone contributing. Maybe like on a farm, maybe the girls go out and like grab the eggs and feed the chickens, and the boys go out and get the milk and and all that, and it all comes together. Mom bakes the bread and makes oh shit, I've been talking so long I neglected my coffee, and I don't even have anywhere to go with my hot water. Give me 1 second. I just paused it there for a second because, come on, there we go. All right. For sake of saving space on my phone, sometimes these videos get so big and there's so many gaps in between that I have to edit out and stuff. So trying to streamline that a little bit and pause where I can and just, we can still keep talking. Anyway, the morning breakfast, coming together as a family, is exactly, if you haven't seen my other video on how the waking up in the morning, going out and just leaving the house without a care in the world, basically allowing source and your vibration to bring you what you need on your morning walk through the city center, instead of being concerned for, do I have my wallet, do I have my phone, do I got this or that taken care of, did I make breakfast, all these things. Like, you leave basically without your morning coffee. You just put on your shoes and you go, right? Throwing yourself out there to the whims of source, like following your bliss, just going with it, right? Going with the flow. I painted that scenario to paint a picture of what the economy and the exchange is going to look like energetically. Like, you go out, you're there, you're walking past someone, you smell coffee, you're like, hey, I'd love some coffee, and someone offers you coffee, like, and you, through showing intent and an energetic, high vibrating, basically in the other video I was talking about how your energetic presence alone, your higher vibrating energy on the scale of consciousness, the above 200 consciousness level, how high you are above that, that's your currency. That when you greet and engage with someone else, the coffee person, you're showing them intent that you would love to experience their coffee, right? It's all about the experience, the gratitude and the presence and in the moment, right? That person can see that you're in the moment, you're high vibing. They want you to experience this coffee. Like, they're like, hey, this is my contribution to humanity. I am so happy to give you this. Here, try this. Check this out. That's their payment. It's your joy in their creation, right? So, to keep that going, that's all that it's going to require, right? Because that person making the coffee isn't sitting there slaving away making coffee all damn day. Maybe they're just making it for a couple hours. They're like, hey, I'm out here, I'm going to try and help out as many people who might be passing by on their following their bliss, and I'm following my bliss by making coffee, and maybe I make it like super good for people, and I want them to experience it, right? That also makes me think about, like, I'm rewatching all of the Hunger Games movies, and when Katniss gets the pin, the Mockingjay pin from that like black market or whatever, and if you watch that scene, and you see that scene play out in a lot of different movies, but it's the typical, the heroine or the whatever, sorry for the trigger word, but like the hero of the story is obviously high vibing. Like, everyone's looking up to them, right? They're high vibing without a pedestal. They don't need a pedestal. They don't want it. But they're like just sitting there, just going about themselves. And notices is the pin. Oh, I like, expresses interest in it. The old lady, the vendor, is like, sees her vibration level, sees her interest in it. Katniss expresses interest. She says, oh, what about this pin? And, oh, it's a Mockingjay. They have an exchange. And then automatically that woman who would normally charge someone for that pin, that's her everyday, normally like currency, she forgets about currency altogether. She goes, you know what? Take it. It's yours. And Katniss is like, oh, thank you. I really appreciate it. Are you sure? And all this stuff. And she takes it warmly with gratitude. That was the exchange. That is the exchange that's going to happen in the new earth. That's all that's going to happen. There's no more currency, no more being smart with money, no more of this or that. It's purely that. Watch that scene in that movie. It's free on YouTube. Just fast forward to that scene if you don't believe me, but you see that play out in a lot of movies. And I just wonder if they're trying to stick that little Easter egg in there, that little programming feature, that to put it in the back of our minds that things can be done that way. You can get free shit. A lot of times, like if you're stuck in the world and you're stuck at a low vibrating frequency, you're looking at that scene and you're like, oh, she just got that pin for free. Haha, she's cool. She cheated the system. She used her charm and her wits to trick the lady or whatever to like look all like desirable and stuff. Maybe the lady wanted her, and so she gave her all these reasons we put to the exchange, like all these, like, you're doing something for me, so I'm going to do something for you, or I want something from you, so here you go. Kind of like it's in the back end at a low vibrating frequency, you're looking at still at that for that exchange, for that like tangible thing. But it doesn't have to be. It can be pure energy. And that's what it's going to be. Energy is the currency. And the higher you're vibrating, the more you have of it. And the more abundant your life is going to be. The more things you'll bring in through the law of attraction. So like a lot of this, the OG family thing, like how you treat family in the morning for breakfast, you're not looking for people to pay. We're not sitting there saying, oh, I'm in charge of the chickens. And so everyone, there's a head count, or what do they call it when you go to a party? It's the door fee or whatever, like to get into the parties, $5, entry fee or whatever. There's not going to be like that. Like, we're not nickeling, diming our family on who's in charge of the milk, who's in charge of the eggs, who's in charge of the bacon, and then sell it to each one individually so that you can make your money to. No, it's like, it's all thrown into a pool, all together. You get what you need. If, let's not split hairs here, but like everyone has a role to play. And when everything is freely exchanged based on energy levels and intent and gratitude, and then also that certain thing is taken and then made into something even better, and then put back out there for humanity to experience, put it back out there freely for those people to experience. Even to the point where someone that does come through that might be lower vibing on that day, or just generally learning, and they still have a lot of stuff to work through and they're still at that low level, you'd still want to give them your coffee, because that could brighten their day so much. It might make the difference in the world. Maybe because of that coffee, they're not going to spread a lower level consciousness to the field for the rest of the day, right? Maybe they're just going to be good to go. And your coffee made the difference. Your warm offering made the difference. It could be something like that. But the family sort of mentality. So instead of saying the word that everyone wants me to say, but I will not say, about this economy, this new earth economy, I'm going to just call it OG family. That's what we'll call it. OG family. And for the people that are watching this right now, you're going to know when I say OG family, you're going to know that I'm talking about Olive Garden and this conversation, and exactly that. That's the economy. So that's the currency, the energy, the energetic exchange through intention and gratitude, right? One of the other topics I did kind of have a thought about was pendulums. And I don't often cite my sources on like where I'm at as far as what I've learned to get me where I am on my energetic journey, right? To get me where I am on my energetic journey, right? I have sources all over the place from videos I've watched. I spent this entire last year just learning, healing, going deep inside, talking to my inner child. We hashed that out. We went through that whole process. Like, I've been through and through. I still have hang-ups, like, for maybe certain awarenesses that I haven't reached yet, or certain things that just trigger me to a level of frustration or anger that I haven't been able to transmute yet. So every time I get into it, it's just like, wow, I just feed right into it. It get triggered, you know. But they're very intense. It's a lot to be able to transmute for me. So you see some of my former videos before I had this glow up, so to speak, of like doing a 180 on my outlook on things. Like, I used to like burn the billionaires, screw the tyrants, you know, heads on pikes. Like, you know, I was like, I wanted to see blood, like I eat their souls, kind of just, oh, you know, destroy the evil. But then through the course of the last couple of weeks, I've been seeing a lot of like ascended master consciousness from Sarah Alcaldi. That video was tremendous and really kind of set the pace for my awareness moving forward, as far as accepting things and not judge. Oh yeah, judgments. That's another thing. I've been on my own ass for judgments lately, because you're judging things you might not even realize right now, judging things about yourself and about the world, and basically you see something, you have an opinion about it, that's a judgment. Like, that's so much to work through. So so I just had to finish that little gulp, that little cold, kind of tastes like an ashtray, sort of. Speaking of, my last couple dreams, holy shit, I've been lucid dreaming like nuts. Last night was an intense dream. I'm not going to talk about it because I know how boring it can be to hear other people's dreams. But for the addicts out there, they're going to understand this one about using dreams. And when I was recovering from alcohol in rehab, they'd go in depth about using dreams, and you'd have them like when you're newly sober. You're on this path, but you have this like almost like a nightmare about using again and you're thinking, what the fuck am I doing? I shouldn't be doing this, but you can't stop yourself from doing it. And it's not that I was having those. I was having a lot of using dreams about vaping. All of a sudden in my dream, I'd just be like sucking down the vapes as if I had never stopped. But in my dream, I would realize that, oh yeah, I quit, but for some reason it just clicked in this dream to be vaping. So I would, and then there was a dream shortly after that where I found that I was smoking again, like cigarettes. Like, holy shit, I just lit up a cigarette. Like, that's something I haven't done since my early 20s, when I made the pact with myself never to light another cigarette. And I wasn't smoking weed at the time, but obviously joints didn't count, just for sake of discussion. Ooh, that's good. Oh, that's some gourmet shit. Okay. Last night, I wasn't vaping or smoking cigarettes. But for some reason, I was at this party with an old boss, and like, it was weird. But all of a sudden, I took a pull off of a flask. Like, I hadn't drank alcohol in a dream or a using dream in a long time. But in all fairness, after rehab and after coming back, and then also, long story short, I don't remember many dreams because I basically went straight from my last alcohol thing straight into weed. And for a couple of years, I hadn't really remembered a whole lot of dreams. So like, I wouldn't have remembered if there was using dreams, but this was the first alcohol using dream that I could remember for a long. Oh, the 1444. Anyway, that was interesting. That was kind of like, oh my god. So anyway, pendulums. Let's get back to pendulums. Let's get some more coffee. This was really good. For some reason, I'm just really appreciating this coffee. Forgot what I saw this one video someone had put together, and they used the audio clip from Pulp Fiction. Damn, Jimmy, that's some gourmet shit. I love it. Not just taster's choice. But anyway, pendulums and my sources. So, one of my sources that I actually got from another source, so I heard about it from her, and then I ended up looking into it. It's called Reality Transurfing, or Transurfing Reality. I can't remember which order, but it's Vadim Zeland. And in that, it's a book. You can listen to it on YouTube for free. It's read. There's one version that has an audio track that is very strange and kind of distracting, but then there's one that they recorded recently that doesn't. I recommended it. I fell asleep to it the one time. I think I did chapters 1 through 5, and they talk about the pendulums and the energetic. When you put your energy into something, whatever it is, you're putting your energy out there into the field. Like, you're engaging a pendulum. And if the pendulum is already swinging, like there's already energy behind it from other sources, like other people, and now you're engaging in it, you're going with that pendulum, or you're sending your energy flow with the pendulum. And there's a swing. It comes back, and then it goes, and then it comes back. Like, there's momentum behind it. It doesn't just go out, it also comes back. So like, if it's a good pendulum, when it goes out is when you're putting your energy into it. When it comes back, you're receiving. At least that's the way I take from it. Anyone that's maybe more familiar with that could like leave some comments or highlights on that. That's my understanding. So like, when you engage a pendulum, if you're engaging at the right time, versus if you see a pendulum and you're just trying to look to receive from it when it's maybe on its back flow, you're not engaging it at the right, you're engaging it from a receiving end. You don't want to receive, you want to put out your energy, right? So that was an interesting concept, because the pendulum I've been hearing a lot about pendulums lately. So it's becoming part of this awareness. And I even realized that some of the videos that I had been editing yesterday and that I've been working through, I had recorded before I heard some certain other videos by other content creators. And they're content creators like Sarah Alcaldi, the ones that I look up to, like the ones that have been doing this for a long, that have a awesome gnosis, that I really appreciate their gnosis on things and have taught me a lot. Like The Alchemist, I learned most things about alchemy from her, or at least she was an authority to confirm a lot of what I had heard from like the Hermetic teachings and the Hermes and the Thoth and the scrolls and the 13 steps of alchemy and all that stuff that I had heard. She would confirm all that stuff like in a very factual and matter-of-fact way, so I looked to her as like an authority on it. Her gnosis she's claircognizant. I also find myself claircognizant, so just in a different ways, on different levels and stuff like that. So her last video, which was tremendous, I forgot if it was like, she was talking about NPCs a lot and how like the nature of NPCs, and her last video, which was tremendous, I forgot if it was like, she was talking about NPCs a lot and how like the nature of NPCs. But now my video that I recorded this before she released that video, right? And in it, I'm talking about NPCs, trauma related to their awakening and like their willingness to awaken or not awaken on a certain timeline that they were incarnated into. Maybe they decided, and these are like discussions I've had with other people through comment sections and this and that. Like prior to watching this video, right? So there's Sarah out there in the world recording this awesome video for us. But also, here's me talking about it. Like, we're tapped into the same damn thing, the ether, the Akashic record. Like, so what she's basically, like when they say, if you come up with an idea for something, a patent, right, mail it to yourself. If you can't get your patent on it right away, as soon as you have something official, send it out in the mail and mail it back to yourself. And don't open it, but have it there sealed in the envelope so you have proof that maybe you were one of the first ones to have the idea. Because guaranteed, if it's an innovation, someone else out there is tapping into that same Akashic etheric field, right? Which I've found to be 100% true, because the NPC conversation and Sarah's last video, let me look that up real quick. I'm gonna pause it. Okay, that's stupid. So for some reason YouTube doesn't want to put the date of manufacture in your history on the videos in your history. They just put where it's from and how many views it got. They don't put when it was posted. But I think the one I'm talking about is there Freedom in Unity Consciousness by The Alchemist. But talking about NPCs and their decision to be here during this timeline, but not necessarily be awakening, right? Or maybe they chose not to awaken on this timeline and just be here to be maybe in support of someone who is awakened, and but not actually have to go through the work of helping others awaken. They're just helping the awakened, kind of. So on that concept, and I could expand on that too, which is a very interesting concept, but because I'm living right now with an NPC that I believe is probably the least likely to awaken, that even if I tried, there would be so much resistance, and maybe even like I'd be thrown out, basically. It'd be resisted at the highest levels. So I feel I'm torn between, like, am I being lazy for not trying, or am I being smart, or am I being like overcautious for myself? Maybe like that's what I need to do to break out of this, is to like throw everything to the walls and just be like, fuck it, I don't care anymore. This is how it is, and like me if you do, or like love me or hate me, kind of a thing. Or do I just like keep going with this because it's safe, and it's like it's not gonna just let him be, so there's free will too. And it's like, well, I've thrown out plenty of hints, and there's only so much that I can do. Or is it like literally we are here to shake people awake? But people then talk about the free will argument. So I'm not sure. Maybe I need to see a video on that, different perspective. And I'm sure there's a duality to it too. There's, well, you could or you couldn't, and therein lies the duality. So then, to be or not to be, again, so. Anyway, it's just interesting that I didn't even realize it. Well, I kind of did, because sometimes I forget about what's exactly contained in some of these longer videos and videos in general. because so as I'm watching it, Sarah Alcaldi's one, I'm not thinking to myself, hey, I just talked about that. I didn't even realize until the other day when I was editing it, like, holy shit, this is the same exact shit that was in Sarah's video, only I recorded it like 3 days prior, which is probably when she recorded it, because when she gets done editing and gets it posted, it's that much later, and just the synchronicity in that, just amazing. But that's part of the pendulum. Like, right now, I'm seeing a massive pendulum swinging outward for this new earth economy. Like, I'm feeling a lot of traction, a lot of support, and a lot of interest, and people really interested in learning more about it, asking questions, engaging with it, like expressing their concerns, and then I'll release a video, and then or like there was one, and I really appreciate the question, and she actually asked me the question off forum so that in case she exposed a flaw or a weakness in my plan, that it wouldn't be embarrassing, and that, you know, it wouldn't be taken as like combative, which I really appreciate that. But I spent like 2 or 3 hours, maybe even 4. And I remember in another video now that I like gave her a long, like by the time I copied and pasted it back into the chat, it was like, I thought it was going to limit my character length, you know, like, but it ended up being like this long-winded explanation, and to which I haven't been able to like revisit that because of, you know, my recent, I had to take a break and just kind of clear house, which isn't even like fully clear, but again, another day, another dollar, sun is shining, and narc is gone. Like, it's time to record. So I had to get as much off of my phone as I could and get it where it needs to go so that I could record some more. And so like right now, we're already at 26 minutes on the second, you know, like I already did a previous portion to this. So like it's adding up, you know, and I'm trying to pause, and I'm trying to keep it full of content as much as possible and get through my notes of things that I wanted to talk about. So following this pendulum on this new earth economy, this exchange, energetic, this economy of, so we need to come up with a name, like a good name for it. When I talk about the OG family economy, or is it going to be the new earth economy of energetic exchange through intention and gratitude of high vibrating conscious awareness? That's a lot. Maybe it could become an acronym or something. Like, you know, I think about SCOTUS and POTUS and those long that just become their own names eventually, and that'll be what we call it. Maybe. But the way it's I love this pendulum, and it's just so fun to talk about, so fun to learn about, and to think about how we're going to implement it, right? Because right now we are obsessed with monopoly money still, because for some reason we still find it to be valuable, because it can still bring us the things that we need. But that's it. That's the only thing that makes it valuable anymore. It's not that you can exchange it for something that is valuable, like, or that it's backed 100% by like the value of the gold that, you know, so like the value that we assign to certain things is based on other things, right? Like I can buy 50 beans for $1, but what happens when all of a sudden those 50 beans, now you only get 45 beans for the same $1, and then next time you only get 40 beans for the same $1, and then next time you only get 35 beans for the same $1, and it just keeps going down and down and down, and how much you get from that $1. and the next time you only get 35 beans for the same dollar. And it just keeps going down and down and down in how much you get from that dollar, even though you're earning the same amount of dollars, but the amount that you're getting back is getting less and less and less and less, and you're asked to put out more and more and more and more. Like in another video that I talked about New Earth standards, it's one that I edited today. I'm going to release it tomorrow, because today I released the one on NPCs and stuff that I was talking about. But New Earth standards, I was talking about things becoming the new standard in people's lives. Like as an employer is setting goals for productivity, they're going to say, hey, this is our goal. We want to make this goal, or this rate, or I want this many pieces of whatever at the end of the day. You know, that becomes now, once you make that set point or that goal, that benchmark, that becomes the new standard now. So that's how productive you need to be in order to keep earning your Monopoly money. But now when you go to the store, portion sizes are getting smaller and smaller and smaller. They're getting put into smaller and smaller packages, but they're either charging the same price or even more for it. I remember learning about this in the 90s as a kid. They used to teach this because, now what in the actual fuck is happening here? Hold on. Okay, we're happy again. Just had to unfuck YouTube again. Anyway, that becomes the new standard, and now you're expected to perform at that level always, and you might get a raise for the year, maybe, and sometimes it's like cost of living, but it's a percentage. It's like whatever percentage you were making, they give you a percentage of that, and that becomes your raise, which ends up being, some places it's 25 cents, or whatever. It's bare minimum. It's whatever they have to in order to keep like whatever they figured inflation was for that. So you stay at the same rate. That's how they keep you at the same level, never growing, never getting more, just you're stagnant, essentially, because of policy and because of this is how we do things. And, we're reinvesting in the company. So, you should be happy with the 25 cents we gave. That sort of shit that kept people stagnant for so many years, to the point where, like, when I was like really struggling with this early on in my career, I got hired, and I got hired at like a higher rate because of my skill coming in. And maybe people that came before me didn't have as much skill and were looking to train, and now had a couple of years of experience there, but my experience coming in was equivalent or better than theirs. So I got hired at a higher rate than they did, and were more skilled than them. In the end, at the end of the day, I was doing a higher skilled job than they were, even though they had more years of experience than me. It's all skill and experience and all that. But then come to find out that just baseline entry level hired on welders were being hired at the same rate years later. Like, okay, so after a couple years of raises from this company, whatever rate that they were hiring welders at was the level that their workers were at. You know what I mean? So they were bringing people in that were new and unexperienced, maybe even couldn't even weld as good as they could. They were bringing them in at the same rate they had years of experience there. So it was just fucked up, like keeping people. And so this company was owned by when I first started there, it was owned by a holdings group. It was called Something Group Holdings, right? And then they got bought out by an even bigger, but a national group, or not group, but now this, like Wabash. Okay, so I worked for Brenner Tank, which was started local, and just like where it was founded family, whatever. They got sold out to Walker Group Holdings, which was the bigger trailer manufacturer, whatever. They held many companies. It was a holdings company, which is bullshit. You know, right off to the start. If you work for a holdings company, really question where you're at. Okay, but now this Walker Group Holdings got bought out by Wabash National. So now, like, I don't know what Wabash, I think, is self-owned. So like back to the, but even bigger than probably Walker Group Holdings was. So like, anyway, I saw them trying to hold people stagnant, pretty much, and keep them stagnant, not really growing there. But anyway, having these standards come out for productivity and requiring, like, you know, overtime and Saturdays and like the production people, because I was in maintenance eventually, like after I had worked myself into maintenance, but watching the welders still have to work 10-hour days and Saturdays and all that, and seeing their wages basically staying the same the whole time. That is to talk about the standards and how not to, you know, there's standards both ways. There's how much bullshit are you willing to put up with, is like, are you just going to, you see an oppressive system or one that's based in fear or lack, scarcity consciousness type, or oppression or whatever, and you just adhere to it, and you hear the ones that came before you that said, oh, that's just how things are, so you're just better off to just put up with it. And instead of saying, no, I don't think I will, you just do, but you expect things to get better. It's not going to. It's only going to become, they're just going to push harder next time. And harder and harder, the more you conform yourself to this new standard, this new level, they're going to push harder next time. They're going to ask for more next time. It's give them an inch, they'll take a mile sort of a thing. They're never going to say good job and not ask you for any more. I mean, it just doesn't happen that way. It doesn't mean that you can't always be improving yourself, but at the same time, that is exactly where these corporations, these holdings groups, these investment companies, these billionaires are getting all. That's where the metrics are exponentially divided. We talk about the, I'm glad I have notes now, because like it's so much easier. Decoupling. That from that decoupling, that's exactly how it keeps rising exponentially, because regardless of whether they're putting it in their own pockets or back into the business, that is going to eventually be sold for their profits. It's still going to them and not to you. It's being extracted from you by them setting these new benchmarks every year, whatever it is. You're adhering to the new standards, and then as soon as you do, the new standard is set above that, and all of that is being extracted to the top, or to the company that eventually gets sold. You don't see any of that. If anything, when it gets sold to another company, you see less come back to you. And not only that, it adds to the fact that they were keeping you stagnant this whole time too. Barely giving you enough to cover inflation, much less your rise in their productivity rate and what they can charge for their product, or whatever it is, whatever value you added to their shit isn't compensated for. Whatever value you added just went to the top. Isn't compensated for. Whatever value you added just went to the top. And so there's also a huge incentive in those kind of places to not hurt yourself. Days since last injury, they got them things on the wall. And because that's a cost to them, so they don't want, the more you hurt yourself, the more it costs them to have you there. And therefore, like, that's when, like, if they have a high injury rate somewhere, and they can have a lot of actually 2 of my t-shirts from former employers were safety team type, safety related t-shirts. The one pizza one is 180 days without an injury. So they have these incentive programs, and like at places other than literal pizza factories, they'll have pizza parties because of their workplace being safe for 180 days or whatever it is. We didn't do a pizza party at the pizza factory because why the fuck would we? Every day was a pizza party. But anyway, that's the thing. And then to the extent of where they'll start punishing people for too many injuries. Like if their incentives don't work, it's a reverse incentive. It's, you're not going to make as much money. We're going to start offering these bonuses to people. And then if we can't cut back on the injuries, we're going to offer less of the bonus. So here's what you could make, but we had this many injuries, so you're only going to get this much. It's a reverse incentive. It's like, yeah, I mean, you can see the trickery just to get you to stop hurting yourself and costing them so much, which is understandable. You don't want to hurt yourself. You don't want to be injured. You don't want to have to go and give your company's money to the medical system, obviously, unless you're trying to hurt the company somehow. It's not benefiting you at all. You're not making any more money from getting hurt, but it's an indirect cost. It's like, if you could possibly find a way to profit from that, like, I know some people do, but it's like, it's the only other way to get money back out of a company from them trying to squeeze and extract it from you. There's no other way to, because you're not getting it in the automatic raises. And if they have a policy against special raises, then you just kind of got to go with the flow and see what you get. It's the companies with their metrics and the first company that I ever worked for that started monthly meetings and like quarterly meetings where there were metrics was the Holdings Group company, because that's how they ran their business, on metrics. And they thought, oh yeah, we're gonna show it and share it with the people and be wide open about it and all this stuff. And it was like, it's also every company I've started at, you hear about historical bonuses being like the equivalent of 3-week paychecks and all that, and one solid in addition to the paycheck. Like, you hear about all kinds of historical bonuses, but you never saw those bonuses, and you never will. That's the thing. From the time they were offered, they just kept going down and down and down and down and down. They were never as good as they once were. At multiple different companies that I've worked for, the bonuses were always better in the past than they were since you started, and continue on. You'll never see the bonuses you once heard about. So, anyway, we're at the 43-minute mark, and it's an interesting place to leave off. But just understanding where we are in this video, where we are in our awareness of how companies try to screw the living daylights out of their workers, even though they pretend that you're family, that you're part of the team, that you're a member. I went from employee to what the hell, some of the weird names that they would come up with. Associate. You're a work associate now. You're not an employee, you're an associate. You're a member. You're this or you're that, to make you feel like you're part of the team, but really it's just profits for them. That's all they care about, is how much are you going to cost them? How much can they make from your value-added labor? And what can they get away with not having to pay you or not having to increase your salary or try to increase your productivity without increasing your salary. That's where they make their back end profits and their bonuses that go to the higher ups who've been to college, who know way better ways of managing money. And it's almost backwards. It's like the people who weren't privileged enough to go to college and learn financial like how to really manage your money, are the ones that need it the least because they have so much to deal with and their abilities can bring them so much more. Like if you took a college educated person, you started a baseline with as much as you were making, and then expected who's going to do better in the long run. Someone who's managing their money with that college education, managing that same amount of starting money, or someone who has no idea and is just going based off of, whatever they think they know. They're going to end up in a lot worse situation. But having not been able to afford that college education. And so in the long run, they're worse off and have less to show for it and ultimately end up doing worse with their money than someone who is going to be able to earn more and get more bonuses and run these, departments and lead things, and have that financial security and be able to get even more financial security for themselves. So it's like, once you're stuck living paycheck to paycheck, you're like doomed to be stuck living paycheck to paycheck because you don't have the financial fortitude to climb out of those holes that are created through ignorance and lack of understanding of how finances really work. But in the new economy, to answer a lot of those questions that, like what I had alluded to earlier, was like, we're not going to worry about that. We don't worry about financial skills or abilities or fortitude or understanding because we're not going to be in competition with each other in this new earth. We're going to be helping each other. We're going to be looking to each other, to our sense of responsibility to each other. And you see someone struggling financially, you try to help them or help them understand how to get better at it. But we're not even going to, like, financials, that's just not going to be a thing. We're not going to be exchanging beans for things because we're not going to be counting our own beans, and we're not going to be comparing the amount of beans that we have with someone else because we're not going to be in competition with them for status, for food, for the ability to have sex. Like, we're not going to be competing. We're going to be uplifting each other. And we're going to be counting on the fact that we're going to be uplifted by others. Not in exchange for it, but a reciprocity, a sacred reciprocity that happens automatically in the new earth. So, with that, I'm going to end today's recording completely. I'm not coming back on unless I just get triggered to make a quick segment, but we're at 48 minutes. That'll give me plenty to edit. Thanks for joining me today. And as always, never stop spreading your light. Oh yeah, and like and subscribe and share it if you will. It helps me a lot. So I'll see you next time.